Hello, welcome to the Last Supper of Outcasts, and I'm your host, Bruce Wayne. Today is Thursday, July 9th, 2026. Not that it matters. Today's quote of the day is by Harvey Dent. And those of you that are Batman fans will know that Harvey Dent was Two-Face, which brings us to our topic on duality. Here's the quote: you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. There you have it. There's our quote for today by Harvey Dent. And I got to be honest, it's a total accident that I'm wearing the Batman shirt. I haven't worn this shirt in many, probably almost 2 years. I just happened to wear it, and I'm talking about the topic of duality. So there's another one of our little coincidences. And I actually looked up on Google. I expressly typed out what character in pop culture best expresses duality. And it comes up with Batman, Bruce Wayne. And I'm wearing this shirt today. I wore this shirt all day. I didn't plan this. So there you go. I mean, it's just another example, and it's Google AI or Gemini or whatever the hell you want to call it says while many characters embody this duality topic or whatever, Batman and in parentheses Bruce Wayne is universally considered the gold standard for pop culture duality. He is a billionaire playboy by day and a vigilante by night, where his alter ego expresses the blurred, razor-thin line between justice and vengeance. So I have to say that it shocked me. It shocked me. I'm not going to lie to you. And I've probably discussed this before. And by the way, I wasn't going to do a video tonight, but I felt like talking to myself, so here we are. I have a very close and personal relationship with duality. I've mentioned this in previous videos. And I think most of us do have a very close relationship with duality. It's just a matter of whether we recognize it or not. I have personally seen both sides of the coin up close and as personal as I would ever want to get. And you probably have too. One of the earliest my memories of this duality was one of my uncles. And my uncle, when I was probably 5 or 7 years old, he was being scouted as a for the major leagues, for Major League Baseball. He was being scouted. He was all over the newspapers. My grandparents had altars of trophies to him. You'd walk in the house, and there would literally be like 6 shelves of trophies right as you walked in. I mean, this guy was special as a baseball player. And I remember seeing him play when I was between 5 and 7. It's right around there. And even at that age, I could tell, man, this guy wasn't moving like a normal. It was inhuman the way he was moving. His athleticism, the way he was moving, and his attention, it was just, he was something else. I could tell even then, and I didn't have to be a major league scout. I could tell when I was between 5 and 7 years old. I remember specifically just the body was moving in ways that bodies aren't supposed to move. He was special. And then, of course, he blew it. This is always I think about this almost every day because I'm also probably psychotic, but I think about this every day. It's how can somebody be so close? I mean, they were literally scouting him. He was ready to go off to the majors. There's no doubt about it. He was in the newspapers. He was all over the place, and he blew it. Why he ended up, laying on my grandparents' couch, shitting his own pants, smoking dope, and just laying on the couch. You'd go over to it got depressing to even go over there because he was just laying on the couch watching baseball instead of playing it and creating it. And it's one of my earliest moments and experiences with duality. Well, I mean, it's just just a waste. I mean, he grew up in Lovejoy. If any of you are familiar with Buffalo, which I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was the city, and it was close to downtown, and we had family members that probably helped him go down the wrong path, and so on and such forth. I think about this all the time. And then later on, he actually ended up going to prison in Attica. And to this day, I don't know why, but I remember my grandmother going in, and she would even like sneak in stuff in the security line. And I remember this stuff, going to visit my uncle in Attica, he was like a virtuoso baseball. He was a pitcher of all things. He was a pitcher. He was a great pitcher. And, he ended up dying homeless in Rochester, I believe, in total obscurity. I don't understand it. I don't, but I think about it all the time. Because I think that this type of duality is something all of us are constantly struggling with, and it's a part of life, whether we want it to be or not. Life is a balancing act about not going in one direction or this direction or that direction too far, and that's a hard thing to do. And I've talked in previous videos about my upbringing in both the city and the suburbs. I was brought up by my grandparents in Lovejoy, which is the city. I mean, it's the city. Concrete and, garbage all over the place. And it was, not impressive at all. But then I grew up in the suburbs, which at that time was more like the country. Grass and trees and forests and land without a desecration by a human in sight. I grew up around both of those almost equally. And both sides of my family have expressed this duality. I am 100% intimate with duality, if anybody is. 100%. And through me talking to this camera right here is helping me to actually discover this even more intimately. One side of my family they were peaceful, they were loving, and both sides were loving. I can't say that, but there were trouble on the other side. So one side, I had one end, people were working at Westinghouse, building their own houses, able to fix anything on the planet, and then the other side of it, alcoholics, but equally loving. I can't express that enough. Equally loving and equally both have brains. but one side let something that we all fight take over. So one side was productive, they were smart, they were both smart, but there was also a side that was, family members were being murdered, going to jail, becoming drug addicts. I've had both sides, the best and the worst, but they both sides, and I'm just actually realizing this right now, were extreme. Both sides were extremely intelligent. And so intelligence has nothing to do with this thing I'm speaking about, duality. It may be about choices, and it's again about balance for sure. Not going in one direction too far. And I've had my own battles with duality. I'm still battling it. I loved to party, and I have an extremely reckless side to the point where I don't care. To hell with it. I don't care. Whatever will be, will be. But at the same time, I have a very serious, studious side, and I like to learn. I love to learn. And it seems like from day one, as long as I can remember, both of these sides of myself have been fighting each other pretty hard. And I guess you could say I have a tail, as my friend Kirk would say. But you know what? I think we all have tails. And tails meaning we have literal tails, like vestiges of an animal or a devil or whatever. And I think it's a matter of whether or not we admit to having a tail, and how long or we're willing to let it grow. Some of us are willing to let it just take over, and we'll die in Attica. Some of us are not willing to do that. But as either case, and when all is said and done, we're all dead anyway. So pick your poison, folks. It doesn't mean that just because you choose one thing over the other that it's going to go in that direction anyway. And that's probably most of our problems with this balancing act. And this idea of duality is nothing new. It goes back thousands of years. You look at the yin and the yang of ancient China, light and dark, good and evil. They can't exist without each other. Sweet and sour. You name it. Two sides of the same coin. The ground and the foreground in art, graphics. You can't have a foreground without a background. Alan Watts speaks to this very well. Is the zebra white or is he black? It's your choice. And on the one side, like even in like the old Flintstones cartoons and in the Tex Avery cartoons, they used to have, the character struggling with a decision, and then on one side of the shoulder there'd be the angel, and on the other there'd be the devil. This is something we all go through this. And part of the trick is that it doesn't, even if you go in one direction, like the person that's a health nut and it runs and jogs and hasn't smoked or done or drank or done anything wrong in their entire life, and they still drop dead when they're 20. And then you'll have the alcoholic that'll smoking, drinking all their life, and they'll live till they're 102. So it's just that little hiccup in the duality does it help us? And we're not alone. None of us are alone in this. We're all dealing with this, whether we admit it or not. You know, there are people who think they got their act together and this and that, and, you know, all of a sudden they get blindsided. We're all in this together, man. Light and dark, death and life, yin and yang, on and off. And I guess maybe the struggle is to learn not to go too far in either direction, but to do your best to maintain a so-called balance. And that brings me to the quote by Buckminster Fuller. Everybody that's any man that's worth his salt, he said, is always walking a tightrope. And I've referred to this in previous videos. This is a struggle that we are all going through, whether we admit it or not. You know, some of us are born into families that help ease the realization of this, but I think ultimately all of us have to struggle with this balancing act on our own. We will all be confronted with this and have to deal with this on our own without any support. And other than that, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I just know that this is something I've struggled with, and I know that everybody struggles with this. It's integral to life. It seems integral to all life. And balance, for whatever reason, seems to be very hard for us humans. But who knows? I mean, balance is hard for probably every type of life. When I think of life, I often think of a flame. You know, how easy is it to put out a flame? And that's what I think of. A flame is dancing. It's like life. And it's very fragile. Too much oxygen and the flame goes out. Too much heat or fuel and the flame goes out. Too much. So to me, the battle seems to be a battle between too much and not enough and getting it just right. And that's a struggle for everybody. I don't care who you are. So I guess be careful about going too far in any one direction, but there are arguments that I could make even against that point. And that's another thing. Any point you can argue from a myriad of angles. So life is tricky, folks. It's tricky. So, but I would say be careful about going too far in any one direction. You might become dust again before your time if you do so. But then again, maybe you enjoy being dust. It's sort of your call, but not totally. So I'd love if somebody left a comment or if somebody let me know they were watching this stuff, but it's therapy to me, and I hope it's beneficial to whoever may be watching it, to let them know that the struggle is universal. This is not just you or me or the flowers or the trees or the dogs or the cats. It's everything. Everything's struggling just to be alive. And that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you got something out of the video. I hope you'll I hope you'll comment on any experiences that this topic may have stirred in you. And please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon, and I hope you have a great night.